mechanism. And then what happens in life is you graduate from maybe university or studies, and then you're thrown into life, and there's no structure given to you at all. No one teaches you how to live.
Yeah.
And if you look at Gallup, 60% of employees are detached from work, and 19% actually are miserable, and they're detractors. They'll actually be talking negatively about your company.
How can we set this into a daily routine practice? It's like to keep charging myself positively, right?
Brilliant. Love it. Love the question. So first of all, if you look at Nooks, they've actually realized that 74% of companies don't have a welfare strategy. So actually, by you asking and saying, I'm going to install this process and bring a coach in to help, you're actually one of the...
Ladies and gentlemen, hello to Monday Talks. Today I have a special guest as always. His name is Adam Ashcroft, right?
Maybe you want to say that again, but Adam Ashcroft. Great, Daniel. Yes, we're newly acquainted, so totally understand the challenges with my name.
All right. Okay. Adam is a business and a life coach, the Advantage Coach, and he helps executives and business owners and their teams to unlock the key to success through purpose, passion, and progress. He talks about leadership, executive coaching, and the Advantage Coach. He's the creator of 3 Ps to succeed and 7 steps for success, and the Advantage Success Playbooks. Hey, good morning, Adam.
Morning, Daniel. Great to be joining you today.
Was it good? Like, I know I cannot frame everything in just like few seconds, but hey, let's give it the mic.
Yes. Yeah, we're
give me the mic and
newly acquainted. So.
Yeah. Who's Adam?
Oh, that's great. Well, thanks for reaching out to me and finding me in this hugely complex world. So, Adam, the first thing I say is we have a serious problem at the moment to deal with that complexity and live their best life. So my purpose is to give a structure and essentially a playbook. So the Advantage playbooks and the structure, so they can go through that structure, demystify life, make sure it's less complex, and so they have a greater chance to live their best life more often. So that's exactly what I do with my clients.
And personally, who's Adam?
Who's Adam? Well, I've lived in Dubai 20 years. So what basically I had was so much support. Yeah. So I moved to Dubai in 2002. I've been an expat out here. And for most of that 20 years, I've been traveling in corporate roles, including setting up my own business, which was hugely successful. We sold it. And then I joined a global company. But I think it's really important to look back in our lives and say, where was the success early in our lives? And for the first 25 years of my life, like most people, there's lots of support around you. So you're at school maybe, and then you've got the teachers and you've got your parents, you've got mentors, you've got coaches, sports coaches, music coaches. So without realizing it, we've got such a great support mechanism. And then what happens in life is you graduate from maybe university or studies, and then you're thrown into life, and there's no structure given to you at all. No one teaches you how to live life and how to do that. Maybe you've been privileged to have been educated religiously, and deep down you've got some rules that say you need to be a good person, or maybe your school has installed good practices into you, or your parents. But when you're in the big world, suddenly you go, oh my word, where's the support structure? And actually, where is the structure to know how you can succeed? And I've had some huge failures in my life, as well as massive successes. And it was only 3 years ago that I put it all together within a mechanism that solves or helps solve some of those challenges around complexity and the lack of support you get. So, and that's where the birth of the 3 Ps to succeed, the 7 steps for success, and these advantage playbooks that you mentioned. So,
Oh, nice. Okay. Can you tell us about like a particular challenge in coaching or leadership situation you faced and how you navigated that?
yeah, I think recently, so just before COVID, and COVID has been incredibly challenging for so many people, and the statistics now are horrific. So you've got McKick coming out and saying 89% of employees have now reported burnout. 70% of employees would leave their companies to go and work for a better company that's going to be supporting their welfare. These are McKinsey's latest statistics for 2003. So, and if you look at Gallup, 60% of employees are detached from work, and 19% actually are miserable, and they're detractors. They'll actually be talking negatively about your company. So I'd sold my own business, and I was very fortunate. I got recruited by my biggest supplier, a company called Cummins. Recently, they've been voted as number 2 by Forbes for diversity and inclusion, which I'm massively passionate about. And the crunch of diversity and inclusion is you need to include everyone to get the greater good for everyone to do well. So it's actually Women's Month, and I think tomorrow is International Women's Day. And the fact is, how can we incorporate everyone for our greater good? So there's no surprises that you look at family structures, and there's amazing women who are building great families and successful, and making us as men really successful. And that is just starting to creep into business. People are starting to understand the power of diversity, which is you're Jordanian, I'm English. We've come up with different backgrounds, different experience. And it's so important to have everyone at the table so that we can all do better. So part of that is, where the challenge you said, what was the biggest leadership challenge I had? I'd like to think I made my own role redundant in my global corporation, my company. COVID happened, and I was going through a divorce. So actually, it was pretty hectic. Yeah, it was a pretty hectic time. I left the lady that I loved. Another story. I made my own role redundant. I thought I was going to have to leave Dubai because I was excited. I thought that was the answers. I've been in Dubai 20 years, and I was looking for a different thing. And I had a global but a regional role, and I was traveling around Africa, Middle East. I'd be in South Africa 4 or 5 times a year. I had teams in Lagos, in Abidjan, in Morocco, in Beirut. And because of COVID, it all stopped, and we were just spending our time on Zoom. So through actually installing a coach in my life, a guy called Mick Todd, who's just changed my life around, introduced me to coaching. A CEO here called Sam Instone, CEO of AES International, he said, get Mick in your life and do a coaching qualification. And at that time, I didn't really envisage I was going to leave corporate life. I really loved corporate life. But actually, from the coaching, I was able to review myself totally, start putting success processes in place, and then that transformed my life. And as a result, I became the advantage coach, which is the role I do now. And I live and breathe 3 Ps to succeed, the 7 steps to success. Yeah. So,
just let me recall what you said.
Just to go through what is...
Yeah, when you said companies has to pay attention to diversity and the well-being of their employees. Because at some point, employees or the best performing employees will leave the company just because of the bad environment. My question is what you're looking for, or what we expect the coach to be, his purpose. Why do we hire a coach? Is it like when we feel we're in danger because we feel there's kind of messy environment, just like a curement, or it's a precaution? Before it happens, let's hire a coach to make this diversity integrated into one unity or one homogeneous environment, let's say. So is it, what do you think about it?
Yeah. Um, Imagine Liverpool or Manchester United, whether you're looking after the organisation, so looking after Manchester United, the brand, but also looking after the team, and then within that, looking after the individuals. So you've got famous examples of Alex Ferguson and David Beckham, that they were pretty much family. They were very much family, and there was that boot gate. So imagine the success of one of these Premiership football clubs without a coach, the same into business. So you can have a general manager of Manchester United, and they're not quite seeing the big picture, whereas a coach is coming in from a different direction. I think it's important to say that coaching is a slightly misunderstood art. And I think what is so important is when you engage a coach, it needs to be a personal relationship. So if you look at traditional coaching, traditional coaching as per ICF and the Association of Coaching, it's really all about you exploring yourself and the coach helping you come up with your own ideas. But actually, myself as the Advantage Coach, and you can search it on the internet, go to theadvantagecoach.com, you can actually find out that my approach is actually, I try and enable clients to come up with their own answers, which is so empowering. The proof of coaching where the client and other people find their own answers is really the crunch, the mecca, the beautiful moment. But unfortunately, if you were with me in Dubai today and you said, "Oh, Adam, I need to know where the toilet is," I would actually tell you, go left and right, and there's the toilet. So what I do is I combine clients coming up with their best ideas themselves. So that's the ideal. But secondly, I will give them world-class solutions to problems. So thirdly, I will never tell a client what to do. So I will never say, "Daniel, you need the toilet, go to the toilet. You can figure this out." But I'll give you two options. One is try and find out where the toilet is yourself, but that wastes time. It doesn't need to be that cumbersome. Or I install what I call the Advantage Success Playbooks. And I say, here's the answer that world-class organizations do and what they do. So I was very fortunate. I started my career as a management consultant in London, predominantly in finance. So I was working with some of the biggest banks in the world as a strategy consultant and a sales consultant. And then I've basically done 3 graduate schemes. So in each graduate scheme, I made sure I rotated around the company. So I worked for what is now ExxonMobil, which was mobile, and I rotated around 4 different areas of the company. And in each time, when I was in trading, on the trading floor, or when I was in sales, or whereas I was customer service, I was learning. And now those have become the backbone of the Advantage Coach playbooks. So imagine you're in, imagine if you've got conflict in your business, I'll bring in a playbook and I say, okay, how does conflict happen? And then you say, okay,
this is
here
like
KI.
This is bring me a question in mind. Like, how do you approach working with clients who may have some resistance to change or even accepting new strategies? They're happy where they are. They're happy with the way they're doing business. How do you just like let them absorb that change is what's good for you?
Yeah, change can take time. So suddenly you can have these amazing moments where it goes, "Oh my word!" and I've seen the light. And sometimes it just takes time. I'm quite an active person, and I really, through every coaching session, I really want huge value to be given to the client. So actually, after every coaching session, I ask a client, "What are the 3 main takeaways from the learning?" So we could do this today for the podcast and say to your listeners, what are the 3 main takeaways for the listeners? So, if I put one out there, I'd say, what is the 3 Ps? My top takeaway for myself to push, I guess, to help your listeners would be, do you have the 3 Ps to succeed in your life? So do you have, the first P is purpose. So do you know your purpose? So what I say is when you're a kid, you're growing up to that great age of about 25, purpose is really goals, is learning to walk without falling over, you're getting told to learn math and English and whatever languages they are. But later on in life, especially as you get older, you need purpose in your life. And under the purpose, the 3 P's to succeed, purpose is really deep. So it's like an inch wide, this wide, but so deep. So under purpose is what fulfills you. So we could do this with you, Daniel, and say, what fulfills you in life? And I know you've got family, you've got exciting changes in your life that you explained to me. So what fulfills you? How can you make sure that you're doing things that fulfills you every day? And what's your vision? So under purpose, what's your vision for success? What's your mission? What are your values?
How can we set this into a daily routine practice? It's like to keep charging myself positively, right?
Brilliant. Love it. Love the question. So going through, so you've got the 3 P's to succeed. So I ask, do you have your purpose really clearly mapped out? Do you have your passions, which are your loves? So I do an assessment which actually shows you what your passions are beyond knowing that you love maybe football or you love music or watching Formula One. And then progress, which is how do you make progress in your life? If you're stuck in the traffic, you get really annoyed. But if you just start moving, you feel a bit happier. So you've got purpose, passions, and progress. Okay. But under the 7 steps for success, which is really the progress bit, I have habits. Is step 3 within the 7 steps, which is habits, rituals, and routines. And this is where we put that we gradually change, but we install great practices. So for me, I'll give you a routine, which is I have success routines, which I do in the morning. So I call them morning success routines. So the challenge is you wake up in bed and you all know that you roll out of bed the wrong side and the day starts pretty badly. And it doesn't need to be that way. Yeah. And so you know the feeling, yeah? So what I do is with my clients, I put these morning success routines. So my morning success routine, and these are personal. You need to make sure that they mean something to you. So not only do I make my bed, I make my pillow. Then I make my bed. Then I open the curtains and I smile outside and I go, wow, how lucky are we? Then I brush my teeth on one leg. And I'm starting to, this morning I'm walking my dog, and then during my dog walking, I'm actually doing some exercises. So I'm building up the chances of a really successful morning. And then if you make it a great morning, the rest of the day is great. Now, sometimes I forget to do some of the morning routine, and I get to about 11 o'clock and I go, oh my word, life has just taken over, which is this complexity. This life is so complex. So actually, if I'm at home, I might go upstairs and remake my bed. Because the challenge is life might just get worse and worse and worse. You know how it gets worse and you're suddenly getting into this burnout. You're suddenly stressed. It doesn't need to be like that. So we put a habit in that says, okay, break for a moment. For me, if I'm at home, I'll go upstairs. I'll make the bed again. It takes 5 minutes. Just make it beautiful. Some clients do something called gratitude in the morning. So they look at their bed, they make the pillow and they go, thank God I've got a pillow. A lot of the world hasn't. Oh, there's some feathers in it. And they give themselves gratitude and they go, oh, I've got a great family and I've got a house and I've got, all these things. And you start realizing. So these are the habits, rituals and routines that you build into your life. And beyond that, within the framework of step 3 of the advantage success, the 7 steps for success, I have a template that clients fill in, and it basically says, what are your morning routines? What are your day routines? What do you do on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? So for me, at the moment today, I'm going to be playing golf with the Kegs Golf Society at Emirates Golf Club, and it's firmly in my diary. And so no, I'm going to be around great people. I'm meeting some excellent people. And it's firmly in my diary for a Tuesday afternoon. And so I make sure I do it. So
okay, here's the question. Here's the question.
Yes.
I am an employer, or I'm responsible for HR or L&D, and I have to hire someone to give me that guidance or for my employees. And how do you think should I pick one? Is it like coaching? Is it like, does it have trends and latest trends that this coach has to stay update with, or is it like I have to look at his previous history? How can I just like trust someone that is good enough to add value to my organization?
Yeah. That's a great question. So first of all, if you look at Nooks, they've actually realized that 74% of companies don't have a welfare strategy. So actually, by you asking and saying, I'm going to install this process and bring a coach in to help, you're actually one of the minorities. So 25% of companies who would do that. So actually, that's a success criteria in its first place. So actually realizing that employees are looking for this. And as I said, McKinsey have got the statistics, 70% of people, this is 2023 statistics, 70% of people would leave to go for a company that looks after their welfare better. So, and if you look at the statistics, people are looking for the great resignation. They're looking to leave. I think it's something like 50% of employees would leave if they could. So installing a well-being and try and reduce this burnout that is happening and this complexity is really essential. And I strongly don't believe that companies have the resources internally. They need to get fresh blood. So what I've done in my career is I've rotated and got fresh ideas from everyone as I've done those 3 graduate schemes, as I studied at Wharton Business School in the US, as I was part of a global leadership program at Cummins. So each time you're learning expertise. So why wouldn't you bring an external party in to share that great best practice and be an expert? And that's where the dial changes. So some people might be resistant, but a lot of people are open to this. If you've got 85% of people who are stuck, who are experiencing burnout, they're looking for the answers. And this is what I've done. So, we have a problem. We have a major problem. People aren't at their best. Life is short. Why would you not want to be at your best more often? And that's where these are my own processes.
So many insights back there. I could fire 100 million question out there, but it will turn into like a long session. We're coming up to almost the end, but I love always to end it up with the fun part. This is where we talk to Adam, the person, and explore more. So if you're up to it, let's go with 3 questions.
Go for it, Daniel. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now you're a coach. So let's have you as a coach target your own, which means if you are as a coach, go back in time and you give your younger version one piece of advice, what would it be?
It seems a bit strange because it seems a bit self-centered because I am a coach. Yeah, no, I don't think it's challenging. I think I just have one word, and it is have a coach. So you need people in your you need people in your life. You don't need a pace. So for me, I have 5 coaches in my life, and I take my life very, very seriously. So I still have Mick Todd, who I believe is fantastic as my life coach, and I have Dr. Corey, who's known as the UAE best
one, I guess,
and he. We've been on voice notes this morning, working on things. And then I have 3 other coaches. So how can I be successful most often? And
I love it. Have a coach.
I make sure I have the right support mechanism around me. So I would say to your listeners, you don't need to pay huge amounts for a coach, but you need the right people around you. So make sure you're close to your really closest friends. Ask them what is applicable. Ask them about best practices. Yeah.
Okay. What's one thing that people might be surprised to learn out of coaching?
The biggest surprise is not knowing what you don't know. So I was happy. I had a lovely wife previously. I had an amazing lifestyle. I lived on a polo estate. It was beautiful. It was only when Mick Todd came in my life and he told me good is not good enough that I accelerated. I went from good to excellent. And that's what I do with my coaching clients at the Advantage Coach. You don't know what you're missing out. Yeah. And your eyes. So I'm privileged. I work with some of Dubai's leading CEOs. I have clients around the world, but things change. The magic changes. And as I say, I'm a dynamic guy looking for immediate changes as well as long-term sustainable change. And it's magic. Coaching in the right hands is magic.
I have to wrap it up. 2 minutes left. And one last question, and you answer briefly. Was there a moment in your life where you made a major change and it felt like, I'm skydiving, it's a job?
Yeah. I'm so passionate about breaking down complexity because actually I hit the rawness of breakdown myself. So I was working abroad on a business trip, extended business trip. I ended up living in Nigeria, and I came back and I had a burnout. I was so burned out that I had to return by wheelchair. Ooh. So actually, we're always going through. So we're either getting stressed or we're too relaxed. If you're too relaxed, you're bored. You're wasting life. You're sitting watching Netflix and you're doing it night after night, or you're burning it out at the top end. Now, without knowing it, I didn't know anything about mental health. No one spoke about it. I was dynamic. I was in a war zone. Essentially, I had guns in the car and all kinds of things. But I was clearly at that burnt out moment that McKinsey is now saying 85% of us are at that point. And I know through the processes of the Advantage Coach, and your clients, your listeners can search the Advantage Coach, they can find it. Through the processes I follow, I'm in the sweet spot more often. I'm at my best more often. And when I'm at my best more often, others around me are at their best as well. And this is my whole purpose. Yeah. My whole purpose is making sure everyone else. And if you want to take one more learning around purpose, it's very rarely about you. It's about other people. So can you help other people? And if you can help other people today, try and help someone, you get the reward straight away. You just blossom from it. So I hope your readers can, or your listeners can take that away.
That was amazing morning, Adam, and it was a very, very nice time I spent with you. And for you, our audience, stay tuned for more. And I hope you just go through the whole video and click the links so you can talk more to Adam. And have a lovely Monday. Thank you, Adam.